Alright guys, jumping into the tournament again for TechGuy Return Sphere. So we are taking on the Bhed Psyches. Guado Glory is taking on the Luca Goers. Let's do this. Alright. So 7th. I'm actually curious. So Eager needs like 800 or 900 more experience, I think, for 99. That's my estimation. It's hard to tell because I judge off of like other characters. So Nimrok is level 97 and he needs like, X amount. I think it was like 7,100, something like that. But he needs like a certain amount, so we kind of just compare and contrast that to what Eager's current experience is. So yeah, I think Eager's close. It's like 900 experience. That should be around what we need. We're gonna push up here. Interesting. Okay, let's do all the risk. All the risk, none of the reward. Okay, a little bit of reward. And we're going to pass to Eager. And let's just give Eager the opportunity to score. Eager's on kind of a scary side of the field. You've just got Rope chilling here, and I don't like that at all. Rope scares me. He's a very, very good defender. I'm going to say he's the best defender in the game. I would argue, actually, like, Rope is the best player in the game. That's really hard to quantify because every single role is different. But like if you had to do an actual like top 10 best players, I think Rope would have an argument. You've also got like Nimrok though, so like it's like they're not comparable at all really. But yeah, that's my initial thought. I think Rope contends for best player in the game. I think right now the list is probably Tidus, Nimrok, Rope. And see, this is hard because then you gotta decide like at level 99 or in general, because Brother's also on that list if you're just like at all levels, right? Because Brother starts out as a maniac. Generally, like people will post questions on Reddit or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, like I'm having difficulty with Blitzball. I want to get Waka's, sigil, or it's the sigil you get, or is it the overdrives, or is it both? I forget." But you got like, I want to get this, and I hate Blitzball. Like it's literally my mortal enemy is Blitzball. Like what do I do? And then people always just say like sign Brother, and that is always like a good idea, because Brother's insane. He's got the things that make him insane is just he has he doesn't have 99. He has high speed and high shoot, and I've mentioned it before, but this entire game is like broken. By the speed stat, like 100%. The fact that like there is like you can just be the fastest and like that's it is a little bit rough. I think if I was gonna redesign, I would maybe make it more I don't know, more like I've talked about this before, and there's so many different options. I think one of the big options is you could make the advantage less apparent. But, like, is it then still an advantage, right? Like, you give, like, the Ronso Fangs 55 speed, and then the Guado Glory 65. Like, is it still an advantage at that point? Or is it just, like, you've ruined the theme? Or, like, you can adjust stats as you need to, and I think you might have to have the players in the field to dictate what's proper. But there's always, like, there's a way to balance it out a little bit better. I think the Ronso Fangs are just too slow. That being said, I don't know if I could argue the Guado Gories are too fast, because I think the AI doesn't utilize the speed as much. I guess this could all boil down to the AI is just not good enough as well. I don't know. You know what I think this does? This just supports passives. I want like passive abilities on players, and just like that stick around, right? And I want like, I guess how I describe it is, I think it would be really, really, really cool if, like techniques exist. We know they're real. They exist. We all understand that. But what if you had hidden passives between each player, and whenever you signed players, like the passive activated, and then when the passive leveled up, like, it just said, like, you've leveled up, like, passive this, and this is the ability it gives you. Like, just something, like, cool. Because I think if you had that unique trait, it like complicating Blitzball adds more depth to it. So a good example of this would be Tats. Tats lost his memory. He doesn't know who he is. Maybe someone else does. Maybe actually Kyuri on the boat knows who Tats is because she's, floating around everywhere. Maybe he was a former, he actually might be a former person on the ship because his model's on the ship, but everyone shares the same model, so who knows. But like maybe when Kyuri and like Tats are on the same team, like there's some sort of hidden passive that activates, and then it pluses, and then it says like, well, Tats and Kyuri on my team like both get +3 shoot, like something like that. Like wouldn't that be so cool? Like just something like to then make you like think like, oh, what are the passives? Like how do I want to configure this team? Because what that does, in my opinion, is that makes it so that it's not purely just this number is bigger. It's I can modify these numbers and make them bigger, and then I want to build my team around this. Like it supports the idea of like, I don't want to say jobs because I know Final Fantasy loves that, but I want to say like builds. So essentially having like, these, Bada's a terrible player, but when you have all the original Aurochs together, like the stat boost is enough that it's worth it, I just want some sort of I don't know, I think that'd be really cool. In my opinion, that would add a lot of depth, a lot of decision making, and just in general, like, just make the game more fun. I think Blitzball is fairly simple, so adding any sort of complexity to it is good. And really, at the core of what I'm trying to get at here, in my like, caffeine fueled rant, is you want decision points. You 100% just want decision points. You want a point where the argument is like, well, I like this because this, and I like this because this. And both those points have some validity to them. I mean, with min-maxing and everything, there's going to be a build where everyone says, like, this is the best build, and there is no argument. Like, it is just broken. But you need to have, like, some argument of, like, I mean, that is broken, it's very strong, but this one's not as optimal, but it also does, like, this, and this is more defensive focused. And I just think there's a lot of cool opportunity there. I'm a little bit disappointed that it wasn't included, but I think I get kind of way too in-depth with Blitzball, and I think at the end of the day, I'm going to make some enemies here. It's one of the best, like, mini games they've released, right? When you think about the whole scheme of, I'm being a little bit unfair here, when you think about the whole scheme and, like, grandeur of mini games, not quite as many of them have that much depth. You got like Triple Triad, right? It's a very solid game, and it matches, if not exceeds, Blitzball, 100%. You got Sphere Break, very similar situation. But then you also have, like, puzzle matching in Final Fantasy 1, and, like, the parade game in Final Fantasy 9, and like, it doesn't quite, like, match the depth, It's definitely got some sort of depth to it, I believe. In my opinion, right? I don't know. It's all personal opinion, but I just feel like there's so many cool things that could be added to Blitzball. The funny thing is I haven't played Final Fantasy X-2 Blitzball in such a long time. I'm trying to remember, like, did I just rip off that entire idea from Final Fantasy X-2? Is that a thing? It might be, actually. I forget if it is. Where there's, like, links. And, like, you can level up links between players, and then, like, you get stat boosts because of them, or I might have just made that up or stolen it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that's a really good idea. What I'm really looking for is just any sort of, like, addition or complexity. We've talked about this subject till our faces turn blue, but I think it's a good idea. I think there's, adding things to it is always nice. I don't know. I'm kind of like just a big fan of just customization, though. Like, I would completely support, like, bare bones Blitzball, and then you have this huge menu of just enable links, enable, mercy rule, which is like 7 goals and the game's over. Enable this, like just have the option to enable specific things. That's how I think, like, the best format is. Because honestly, like, people who are really passionate about the game, and I think I mentioned this in a comment about, like, Bethesda, but people who are truly passionate about the game, like Fallout and stuff, and Skyrim, and, like, they have a dedicated community that's built towards making the game just, like, beautiful, more gameplay, more everything, right? And the community can't fix it up for you. I will say, I don't think that's a great strategy overall. Like, you don't want to be like, let's release this broken game and then have the community fix it. But at least give them, like, a toolkit to do something. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I went on a little bit of, like, ranting this video, but I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day, and just, like, how do you improve Blitzball? I'm constantly thinking about that, though. Like, what I would add. There's actually a player remaking Final Fantasy X in Unreal Engine 5 or 4, I forget. But they're remaking the entire game. So actually, I'll pin their channel in the comments, or no, probably in the description. I'll pin it in the description. But yeah, check them out. Like, they haven't quite gotten to Blitzball yet, but it's really, really cool. Like, 100%. I'm a big fan of it. I think they're on a hiatus right now, but they've definitely got some videos uploaded where you can check it out. Like, basically Final Fantasy reimagined in just, like, a beautiful way. Yeah, a little bit of experience for them. 32 for Eager's good. Really, it's just Eager we're looking at right now. It really is. Perfect. Well, Glory's 2-1 the Goers, unfortunately, and we 4-0 the Psyches. Perfect. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And when you come back, we're going to be playing more Blitzball. Till next time.